wife about the whole Baltimore Scott Key Bridge collapse recently, and she shared with me some rather heartfelt information that I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about today. And I've got some new information regarding the black box that was recovered from the cargo ship that made contact with the Baltimore, Maryland Scott Key Bridge just before the collapse, and some new breaking news, breaking details, and the latest on this on this development as new evidence is surfacing. And just one thing that I wanted to share with you guys, number one, thank you so much for always hitting the like button for the videos. Thank you so much for sharing these videos. But my wife was telling me that she had heard about the 911 call that was made from one of the vehicles that had unfortunately fallen from the bridge into the water. And I want to give a huge pat on the back to 911 phone support for responding immediately to the person who made this Mayday call, because it saved a life. And so basically, the vehicle apparently fell into the water and they immediately couldn't figure out how to get out of the car. They got on their phone and somehow was able to make a phone call to 911. Thankfully, they were able to get through, and they spoke with someone who was able to talk them through how to safely exit the vehicle. And this was a miracle story. And with all the bad news in the world, and in some of these stories, I love sharing some good news. So hey guys, all of you guys in the live here, happy Good Friday to you as well. Conchetta Tucker, thank you so much. Happy Good Friday to you as well. Mind your business. Hi from Toronto, thank you so much for joining. I see you, Lisa B, SMH, AJ Ward. You guys are absolutely amazing. So, but yeah, I wanted to kind of share this insight because this was insightful to me, and hopefully it could save someone's life out there. So again, this person who was on the Baltimore Scott Key Bridge in Maryland, he made an immediate call to 911. Now, first of all, picture yourself. It's like it's dark outside. It's like 1:30 in the morning, and you're traveling across a bridge, and all of a sudden the bridge out from under you is just gone. Vehicles free falling hundreds of feet in the air, plunges into freezing cold water, and the only thing you can think to do is you call 911. So this guy, he calls 911. Thankfully, someone picked up immediately and they walked him through. And so basically, number one, try to stay calm. Forget the fact that you fell 100 feet in the air in your car into freezing cold water. Try to stay calm. Number two, they're saying is to, they're saying number two, roll down all the windows in the car. Now, depending upon the vehicle, you may not be able to do that. Maybe the power windows are shot at that point, but try to roll all the windows down in the car. Take off your seatbelt. Try to assist other passengers in the car, and try to climb out of the window and swim to safety. Now, based on what we've seen from some pretty reputable sources, the best bet is to try to climb out of one of the rear windows, because typically the vehicle is going to sink nose first for most cars that have an engine in the front. Now, some cars have an engine in the back, so of course the dynamics of that will be a little bit different. But that's generally why they say try to swim out of the back window. But anyway, so the black box aboard the container ship that collapsed, a huge part of the Francis Scott Bridge just stopped working. And it's just wild how this happened. And it stopped working just a few minutes before the crash into whenever I see the Scott Key Bridge, I always think Travis Scott. I don't know what's wrong with me. It's not Travis Scott, it's the Scott Key Bridge. Now, many experts are kind of suspect for this, for this anomaly. The VDR, or the voyage data recorder, it shouldn't stop working like this. And if you think about it, the main purpose of a black box is to tell us exactly what happened within a journey. Now, for incidents like this one, you would kind of think that this vital piece of equipment would be working perfectly fine, but that doesn't seem to be the case. And so this is why a lot of people are thinking that there's foul play. Maybe there was a cyber attack, or maybe there was some sabotage. Now, I have the full play-by-play timeline as to what happened during this unfortunate incident. Now, the problem is that we're missing a few very precious minutes that was supposed to tell us what exactly went wrong with the ship. Now, I want you guys to understand that new footage has also come out that shows how it looks inside the ship right now. Now, what's alarming here is the amount of time that it took for the problem arising within the ship to actually to the point of impact. Now, before I share this clip with you, all I ask is that you guys take a second, hit the like button for the video. I totally appreciate you guys rocking with me and tuning in on this one and keeping up with these very important updates. And I want to thank you so much for always sharing these videos on Facebook and Twitter. But take a listen to this recent finding here. Listen up.
Another video that they shared with us as well, where you see some investigators up into what an area that appears to be either the bridge or an area similar to the bridge of the ship, and they are looking at some screens there, and it appears they're maybe downloading some data. We do know that they have recovered the voyage recorder and have analyzed that, and from that voyage recorder, the NTSB has given us this really dramatic timeline of how this accident unfolded early Tuesday morning. And you know, without going through each bullet point of that timeline, what I can tell you is that they told us that it was less than 5 minutes from the time the first alarm sounded at close to 1:30 in the morning to the point of impact, or the point where the pilot reported the bridge down. I mean, it was an extraordinary amount of time. There were only a couple of minutes between the time that the pilot called in that dramatic Mayday call and the point of impact. And when you think of that, and then you see some of this video again that we can show you hopefully of the close-up of this damage and the force with which this vessel hit the bridge. I mean, it was so fortunate that those a couple of minutes were able to elapse, and law enforcement and other authorities were able to shut down that bridge and prevent any automobiles or trucks from coming onto the bridge. Then again, it was 1:30 in the morning, and maybe the traffic wouldn't be too heavy, but there is still considerable traffic on that bridge at all times. So.
Yeah, guys. So less than 5 minutes. Now, this is the amount of time that transpired from the first alarm being sounded to the point of the impact. Now, thankfully that this happened at like 1:30 in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, where there was a lot less traffic. Can you imagine if this happened during rush hour, like right now at 6 p.m.? I mean, this could be another 9/11 situation if that were the case, you know? But it seems like such a small detail, but it's very important to note this number. So I want you guys to remember 5 minutes, okay? You might be wondering why, right? Well, let's kind of start with how the dolly took this journey. So at 12:39 a.m., the box ship dolly, they got underway from Baltimore's Seagrit terminal. The pilots, they released the docking tugs shortly after as they entered the ship canal. At 12:24 a.m., it was moving along at around 8 knots and steering 141 degrees. After about a minute, multiple alarms went off. And then here's the strange part. The VDR, which acts as the ship's black box, just suddenly stopped recording the ship's electronic system data. Now, that was at 1:25 a.m. All right. It was, however, still recording the audio from the bridge, but that single minute of electronic system data wasn't recorded. Now, the real question is, why just that 1 minute? I mean, this is unbelievably to Lisa B's point. How convenient is that, right? Exactly, Karen Brandon, I'm with you. This is so suspect, right? So at 1:26 a.m., the VDR miraculously jumped back to life, and it was able to resume recording of the ship's electronic data. Really? 39 seconds after that, the pilot called in the first distress call from the vessel. And it was around this time that they were able to contact the proper authorities to close down the Francis Scott Key Bridge. And at 1:27 a.m., the pilot then gave the order to drop the ship's port anchor. 20 seconds after that, the pilot radioed in to warn that the dolly had lost power and was now approaching the Key Bridge. At around 1:29 a.m., The pilot then called in to report that the bridge had collapsed. So this is the timeline here, guys. So this is basically the play-by-play. But what really stands out is that single minute, and you guys have already identified this. Like I always say, you guys are the sharpest audience that's on YouTube. You guys are on it, and you guys don't just take mainstream media's word for it. Like Biden's already trying to brush this under the rug. Like I almost feel like you would think that the president of the United States would want to get a thorough investigation going here, but he's already trying to say that this is nothing. Don't worry about it. We're gonna rebuild the bridge. Wait, what? Are you kidding me? Okay. But what really stands out here, and I want to talk about this for a bit, because what really stands out here is the single minute or more that the black box suddenly stopped working. Like, how convenient is this, right? It just suddenly stopped working. I mean, like, it's almost like a bad movie, right? The power suddenly goes out just before the house is about to be raided by some bad guys or something like that. And this is basically what's happened here, right? And but this is not how things are supposed to work. The black box is supposed to be constantly running and recording, because you never know when a catastrophe could happen where it would need to be recorded. They're supposed to be functioning independently, right? Which has a lot of experts saying that this is either the worst timing in voyage history, or something is definitely going on behind the scenes with this alleged accident. This is highly suspect. I don't believe in coincidences. Do you guys believe in coincidences? I mean, do you think 9/11 was really an accident? Really? I mean, like, I'm pretty sure that there's no one watching this show right now that is convinced that 9/11 was an accident, right? And it's also reminded a lot of Americans of the last time that a black box failed to serve its main purpose. What other great example could I give you guys? Yes, I'm talking about not a single black box. Think about this, guys, for a second, right? Not a single black box from the 9/11 attack was working as they should have worked when they were recovered. Really? Really? All those planes? Was it like 5 airplanes? Which has a lot of analysts and people like me and you thinking there's no way that this was some accident. This is not an accident, guys, right? And this is now why this is almost becoming the norm when it comes to infrastructure in the United States, right? Because both involved massive ships of transportation, and both of them destroyed infrastructure inside the United States. And the footage that we just covered, by the way, was supposedly one of the first few times that the NTSB boarded the Dolly, which is kind of odd because just hours after the bridge collapsing, you had President Joe Biden. He was already prepared with a statement. Like, how was Biden prepared that fast? Did he know something was going to happen before it happened? I mean, did George W. Bush know what was going to happen in New York City on 9/11 before it happened? I mean, I feel like somehow he knew that this wasn't an attack. Or was it? Now, the federal government would build this, the federal government would, build this thing back up again, build it back better, using federal funds. And they're basically saying there's nothing to see here, folks. Go about your day. Really? Does this mean that he got information in advance? I mean, like, what kind of sham are they trying to pull here? Because as far as we've been told by the NTSB, interviews of the crew members didn't even start until President Joe Biden's statement. So how can you be so conclusive before the interviews even started? It just doesn't make any sense because, isn't that a crucial piece to understand what's really happened here? You got to start interviewing people. And this is why critics are questioning this odd statement from President Joe Biden when, in fact, nothing had even been found out yet, right? But here's something that the NTSB did find. Evidence of dangerous containers spilling out into the waters. Can you believe this? So, I mean, like, you might be wondering, and I'm still wondering today, like, how dangerous, right? Well, they're telling us that these were hazmat containers. Around 56 of them were found on the ship, right? So 56 hazmat containers, around 726 tons of hazardous materials were inside these containers collectively. Now, I'm not sure if there's going to be another East Palestine situation where, but we're being told that the area is now dangerous to access because of this. And remember how long it took Joe Biden to even visit the folks over in East Palestine. Like, it took him like what, a year? I mean, like, so the cargo was mostly corrosives and flammable materials. This ain't the kind of stuff you want in your rivers, right? So the question is, was this done on purpose? Now, we don't really know because, again, the investigations are not done yet, but it's quite similar to how the 9/11 attack happened, where the black box suddenly just kind of stopped working normally. Go figure. And it also kind of fits, with the narrative that FBI Director Christopher Wray told us late last year, shortly after the Israel attacks, that blinking lights were everywhere, right? With all of the facts that we have, or at least the facts that they've handed us, we still hear optimism from the White House, from the Biden administration, that they're going to get things fixed and that we shouldn't have to worry about any of it. They got it all taken care of, right? But the problem is that many critics are now starting to think that something's amiss in all of this, right? Now, I'm just saying, like, who's going to pay for this? Because Biden's saying we're going to pay for this. We're going to take care of it. We're going to rebuild the bridge, right? Well, first of all, what about the insurance company of the ship? Why would Americans have to pay for this? Why would Maryland or Baltimore, Maryland citizens have to pay for this? I mean, I have a feeling that this is going to hit the federal budget. So if it hits the federal budget, that's going to be everyone across the United States having to chip in, right? So where's the insurance company in all this? A cargo ship ought to have a pretty hefty insurance policy covering them because anything could go wrong. They could sink, and all of the cargo on that ship could be, just destroyed. So I would think that a cargo ship insurance policy should probably cover at least $10 million, if not $100 million or more. So we should be, the United States should be looking at the insurance policy of the cargo ship. We shouldn't have to be paying for this repair of infrastructure. This is going to be a very expensive rebuild. And think about the residents that were impacted by this, right? Like, I can only imagine how much more commute time. I mean, how will you even get to work? Because this had to be a key bridge. Now, I don't live in Baltimore, Maryland. I don't know the geography of Maryland, but think about it. If that bridge is wiped out, number one, that's a tremendous negative impact on the supply chain, people getting to and from work, trucks delivering. I mean, think about all the truckers, we're just talking about the New York City trucker boycott the other day. Well, think about how many truckers now can't make it across the bridge. I mean, families and businesses could see shortages of supplies, food, products on the shelves. We could see empty shelves in those areas. And so now I'd have to look at the geography to see, how do you get to the other side? Some people may have to drive 50 or 100 miles more every single day to make up for the fact that the bridge is no longer there to get where they're going. So this could create a massive economic problem in the local communities because, well, who do you think is going to be eating up that cost? It's going to cost a lot more money. It's going to take a lot more time to get products in and out of that region. So that's another problem that not a lot of people are talking about. So let me see. I just want to jump in the comments with you guys. What do you guys think about this? Was this a planned attack? I just feel like there wasn't. I don't feel like Joe Biden is taking this thing serious enough, because for the level of catastrophe that this is, you would think that he would have been. I just think that Joe Biden should have approached it differently. Do you think that Donald Trump would approach it the same way? Would Trump? How do you think that Trump would approach this? Because I don't feel like we're being told everything here. Okay, so Sabrina Thompson says not planned. John completely disagrees, says 100% intentional. Alex Fleming says some country may end up buying the port. Wouldn't be surprised because China's buying up a whole lot of land here in the United States, particularly farmland. Char says that this was planned. Hey, real quick, guys, if you think this was planned, just go ahead and type in planned. If you think that this was not planned, type in that it was not planned. I want to see what you guys think because maybe I don't want to be the conspiracy theorist, but I'm looking at the evidence and I'm looking at the time frame. I'm looking at the fact that this bridge was in place for 50 years or more and we never had a problem. Why is it all of a sudden that this bridge gets taken down? And on top of that, suddenly the black box that would have told us everything we needed to know about what really happened leading up to this catastrophe. How is it that the details on that black box are not there during the 1 minute? There's like 3,600 minutes in a day. And you're telling me that the 1 minute on this 24-hour interval is when the black box stopped recording the system data? Come on, guys. Really? Wow. So an overwhelming number of you guys are just saying that this is planned. I mean, look at this. We got Charlene Church in here. We got Mick Stevenson, Catherine Brandon, New York Shepherd, 11 Mudcakes, Gianna Andres. Man, no one's buying this. Donna Arnold calls it a black swan event. Let's see here. So Kev Knight says, Ron, in theory, if the power went out on a ship as seen by everyone, then it is fair to say that the black box had nothing to record during those few fateful minutes. Okay, fair enough. But the black box should have still been running. And if the black box is still running, the data there should still be some data there. But you bring up a very good point. The black box should still show something like, emergency power off, power back on. Obviously, there's a lot of details that have yet to be shared with us, and I'm not really sure how much detail that they're going to be sharing with us because, number one, it's an ongoing investigation. And of course, just like with 9/11, there's still a lot of questions that are still left unanswered. But you do bring up a very good question, Kev Knight. If the system power, if the ship itself did lose power in its entirety, then the black box should still have been recording, but there should theoretically just been like a big, 60-second blip of no data to report. But that's not exactly what they're telling us. So we definitely need to see some more details on that. But very good point. I'm glad you brought that up. So Lady True said, I heard the owner of the shipping company is Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law, Angela Chow, the one that accidentally backed up into a lake and drowned. This was 100% intentional. I didn't hear that, but now that you mentioned, I'm going to have to look into that. So Lady True is saying that the owner of the shipping company is Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law. Did you guys hear about this? I want to say this might have been a month or two ago. I was actually heard about this. It was an awful situation. Mitch McConnell's, I want to say it was Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law. She had like some kind of celebration or gathering at her house. It was actually an event where a lot of people had come over. Well, for whatever reason, late in the night, she needed to go out there. She needed to go outside and move the car for whatever reason. I don't know why she needed to move the car. And it was a Tesla, according to the article that I read. Well, whatever the case may be, the house happened to be situated I guess it was a lakefront property. Well, apparently she backed the car into the lake mistakenly and ended up drowning in the lake in the car. So that was a very horrible situation. But we definitely, did you guys hear anything about that? Mitch McConnell's sister-in-law, and don't quote me on the details because I read that maybe about a month or two ago. I might be a little foggy on that. If I'm wrong, just correct me on that, guys. But Charles Weinberg says that the black box is not blank for 1 minute. The minute recorded the sound of Jeffrey Epstein being choked out. Oh my God, you guys are too much. Um, yeah, so this is just unbelievable, guys. Unbelievable. But all I can say is that I'm incredibly thankful that so few people were actually victims to this. So that was actually a very good thing. Catherine Brandon says 1 week prior, a new CEO. Interesting. Interesting. I don't know. There's a lot of theory surrounding this one, and yeah, her death was definitely suspicious. But yeah, so there's a lot of theory surrounding this one. Was this an heck? I mean, how was the company doing? Was the company fiscally sound? Was the company planning on cashing in on the insurance? I mean, I don't know. Uh, this is yeah. The commission on selling insurance on the cargo ship every time it leaves the port is no less than $1 million. Very lucky insurance agent. Ooh, oh yeah, that's going to be pretty hefty insurance. I mean, think about it. Like, how much does it? Let me see if I can find this. How much does a container ship cost to buy? Let's just see if I can get a number on this one. All right, so get this, guys. Secondhand prices for a 10-year-old container ship. And of course, they have different capacities, different sizes. But this is a used container ship. This is like going to CarMax and buying a used car. But here we're talking about container ships, right? So there's not even a new one, right? Prices range anywhere from 4 million to 15 million and even 18 million dollars, right? And it's based on the size of the container ship. So they have different sizes. They have 3 different sizes here: 500, 2500, and 3500 TEU capacity. And so basically a used container ship that's like 10 years old could be anywhere from 4 to 18 million dollars respectively. So here's the thing. I guarantee, to your point, the insurance commission is pretty significant, but the insurance policy covering these ships has to be substantial. I'm thinking like you got to have at least a $100 million policy with one of these big ships floating through the sea. Think about the cost of a bridge. How much is going to cost us to rebuild that bridge? I don't know. $100 million, $500 million, $1 billion. I really have no idea what it will cost to rebuild that bridge, but someone's got to pay for it. Anyway, guys, if you guys haven't already, definitely hit the like button for the video. I want to thank y'all so much for sharing the video. Drop me some comments down below. Let me know what you guys think about this one. I'm going to keep you updated, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Oh, and by the way, happy Easter to everyone. Happy Good Friday, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Y'all be safe.